You have been waiting. You have been praying. You have been fasting. You have been doing everything right, and still, nothing moves. You wake up in the morning and the first thought that hits you is, when? God? When? You look at your life. You look at where you are. And deep down, underneath all the faith you are trying to hold together, there is a quiet fear creeping in. Maybe he forgot about me. Maybe I misheard. Maybe the promise was never really for me. You are not in crisis, but you are tired. And that kind of tired is not about sleep. It is about waiting on something that feels like it will never come. I want you to stay right here with me, because what I am about to share with you is not a motivational speech. It is not a pep talk. It is a truth that is going to reach into your chest and rearrange something. Because the reason nothing is moving is not what you think. Confusion, what they don't understand. Here is what most people believe when they are in a season of waiting. They believe God is the one holding back. They believe the door is closed because God has not opened it yet. They believe they are standing at the gate, knocking, and God is somewhere on the other side, deciding whether or not to answer. So they wait, they pray more, they fast longer, they journal, they cry, they try to manufacture peace, while internally they are screaming. And nothing changes. But here is where the confusion begins. We were taught that waiting on God is passive, that it means sitting still, being patient, letting God do His thing on His timeline. And yes, surrender is real. Patience is real. God's timing is perfect. But there is another kind of waiting that looks spiritual on the outside and is actually fear on the inside. There is a version of waiting that is really just avoidance. A version of waiting that is actually disobedience wrapped in prayer language. You say, I am waiting on God. But what if God has already spoken? What if He already gave you the instruction? What if the next step was already revealed and you just did not take it? What if God is not making you wait? What if God is waiting on you? There is a moment in Exodus that most people read too fast. The Israelites are standing at the edge of the Red Sea. Behind them, Pharaoh's army is closing in. In front of them, impossible water. There is nowhere to go. And Moses does what any good leader does in a crisis. He prays. He lifts his hands. He calls out to God. He intercedes. And God says something that stopped me cold the first time I read it. God says, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move forward." Exodus 14:15. Read that again. God is essentially saying, I already gave you the instruction. The staff is in your hand. The sea is in front of you. Why are you still standing there asking me what to do? There are moments where God says, stop praying and start moving. Not because prayer is wrong. Prayer is everything. But there is a prayer that is seeking God, and there is a prayer that is hiding from God. And only you know which one you are in right now. God does not need more of your petitions. He needs your obedience. He needs your yes. He needs your feet to move toward the thing He already showed you. Because here is the truth. Faith without works is dead. Not wounded, not struggling, dead. James 2:17 does not leave room for interpretation. You can believe all the right things. You can have all the theology. You can feel the presence of God in worship on Sunday. But if your belief does not produce movement, it is not faith. It is just feeling. And God cannot bless a step you refuse to take. I want to talk about Joseph for a moment. Because Joseph is the person most Christians point to when they talk about waiting on God. And rightly so. Joseph waited years. He was betrayed, enslaved, imprisoned. He had every reason to give up. But here is what most people miss about Joseph. Joseph never stopped working. In Potiphar's house, he worked with excellence until he was put in charge of everything. In prison, he worked with excellence until the warden put him in charge of all the other prisoners. Joseph was not sitting in a corner with his hands folded, waiting for God to change his circumstances. Joseph was being faithful inside his circumstances. He was stewarding what was in his hands, even when what was in his hands felt like nothing. And then when the moment came when Pharaoh had the dream and needed an interpreter, Joseph was ready. Not because God suddenly showed up, but because Joseph had never stopped preparing. Waiting on God does not mean sitting still. It means being faithful in the place you are in while trusting God to do what only He can do. The problem is not that God is withholding your promotion. The problem might be that you stopped being faithful in the position you are already in. Are you treating your current season like a waiting room or like a training ground? Those are two completely different postures, and they produce two completely different outcomes. Mid-video engagement. Before I go further, if this is already hitting something in you, share this video right now. Someone in your circle is standing at their own Red Sea today. They need to hear this. Like this video, and let's keep going. So what has to change? First, you need to get honest about what you are actually waiting for. Are you waiting for God to confirm what He already confirmed? Are you waiting for more signs when you already have the sign? Are you waiting for the fear to go away before you take the step? Because here is the truth. The fear does not go away first. The courage comes after the step, not before. God does not call the equipped. He equips the called, but He only equips you in motion. He does not give you the full map before you leave the house. He gives you enough light for the next step, and then the next, and then the next. If you are waiting for total clarity before you move, you will wait forever. That is not faith, that is control. Second, you need to identify the last thing God told you to do that you have not done yet. Not the big vision, not the dream on the wall, the last specific instruction. Maybe He told you to have a hard conversation and you have been avoiding it for months. Maybe He told you to start the thing and you keep saying you are not ready. Maybe He told you to let something go, a relationship, a habit, an offense, and you are still holding on. That unfinished obedience is the block. You are not waiting on God. God is waiting on that. Third, you need to understand that delay is not denial, but your delay can delay the promise. God is sovereign. His purposes will not fail, but your participation matters. Your choices matter. The path you take matters. And every day you spend waiting when God said move is a day the promise sits unclaimed. But here is where I want to leave you. God is not angry with you. He is not frustrated. He is not counting your failures. He is not keeping a record of every time you hesitated, every time you gave into fear, every time you said not yet. He is still here. He is still speaking. He is still for you. Isaiah 32:18 says, "The Lord longs to be gracious to you. He rises to show you compassion." He longs for you. That is not the language of a God who is tired of waiting. That is the language of a father who wants nothing more than to see his child walk into everything He prepared for them. The door is still open. The promise is still yours. The call is still on your life. But today, right now, I want you to ask yourself one honest question. What is God waiting on me to do? Not what is God going to do for me? What is He waiting on me to do? And then whatever the answer is, take one step toward it today. Not the whole journey, one step. Because when you move in faith, God moves in power. And when you take that step, watch how fast things begin to shift. The Red Sea does not part while you stand still. It parts when your feet touch the water. Your feet, the water, today. If this video shifted something in you today, leave the word MOVE in the comments. That one word will remind you of what you committed to the moment you heard this. Subscribe to this channel because we go deep here. Every single video is built to help you grow in faith, in clarity, and in the life God actually called you to. And tell me, what do you want us to cover next? Drop your topic in the comments. I read them all. God bless you.